There's a new movie out this week called Take Me Home Tonight, which is set just at the end of high school. It's a year after high school has finished. It's one of those high school reunion kind of movies in which old school friends get together. Things have changed, some things haven't.
You are not going to believe who was just in here. Tori Fredericking.
Don't I know you? It's me, Tori.
Matt Franklin.
Where do you work?
I'm at Goldman Sachs.
So, are you going to Kyle Masterson's party tonight?
Amazing! You're gonna trick her into liking you, and then you're gonna be like, it's me!
And it's a strange little movie. Many people don't like it. It's kind of compromising that it doesn't quite know whether it wants to be a sort of Richard Linklater type film or maybe something like Grosse Point Blank with an indie spirit, or whether it wants to go for the American Pie, you know, full-on frat boy gross out. And in the end, it ends up falling between two stools. But most importantly, it reminded me of a whole lot of other movies that have meant quite a lot to me. So I've seen a lot of films about the end of high school, the end of adolescence, the beginning of adulthood, going right back to American Graffiti, the film which demonstrated that George Lucas really can direct. It's a wonderful movie. The tagline was, "Where were you in '62?" And it's all set at the end of the school years. This is the summer in which this is the last time they will go through these experiences. And of course, it has the classic American jukebox soundtrack. And thinking of that movie put me in mind of Philip Kaufman's The Wanderers, which is often overlooked, but is a terrific movie set in 1963 with all the events unfolding around the assassination of President Kennedy. There's the loss of innocence, absolutely encapsulated by the murder of President Kennedy. And I love that film very much. And of course, around the same time as that, the cinemas were full of the lemon popsicle movies, which get a very bad press, understandably, because most of them are pretty terrible. Although the first one is quite interesting. At the end of the first lemon popsicle movie, despite the fact that it is, in the end, a frat boy comedy, it ends up with a character wandering the streets to the melancholic sounds of Paul Anka singing Mr. Lonely, which is very, very strange. But the film to which Take Me Home Tonight refers most is, of course, Risky Business, the movie that made a real star, not only of Tom Cruise, but of Wayfarer's sunglasses. Now, on paper, Risky Business, it has very little to like. It's a film about a rich kid who you're meant to sympathise with when he turns his house into a brothel and he ends up sleeping with Rebecca De Mornay. I mean, on paper, it's grotesque, and yet there is underlying that something, some strange sensibility. I think it's largely to do with the Tangerine Dream soundtrack, which I think was meant to sound futuristic, but in fact sounded incredibly poignant. Of course, Risky Business was always seen to some extent as the poor cousin of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is for many people the high watermark of the high school genre. And it's true that every time you see it, that film really, really stands up. Moving ahead to movies after high school, have you seen Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion? I love that movie. I missed it when it first came out in the cinema. I caught it later on DVD, and I was really surprised by just how smart, just how funny, just how satirical, just how biting and clever it was. But for me, the real gem that often gets overlooked here is Peggy Sue Got Married, the Francis Ford Coppola film in which Kathleen Turner plays a grown-up woman who's living a humdrum life with her boorish husband, and after a fainting fit suddenly finds herself transported back to the last years of her high school, where she is able to live those years again, but with the knowledge of being an adult. It's a very, very interesting, very smart film. Terrific performances by Kathleen Turner, who plays both middle-aged and adolescent. Nick Cage giving it his completely full-on, almost self-parodic performance. And of course, it's a film that's about something. It's about much more than being at high school. It's about growing up. Anyway, let me know which are your favourites, your best high school movies, your best end of high school movies, your best high school reunion movies, and tell me whether you think there is anything that matches the high watermark of Peggy Sue.
Could be worse.
It couldn't be any worse.
Put your hands in the air!
I was wrong. Now it couldn't be any worse.
Matthew?
Wow, wrong again.
Take me home tonight.